Good afternoon, and we're here on New Talk, the opposite of Old Talk, here on Synergy TV. I want to give Blaine Marcano a chance to finish what he had said before the break, because I felt like that was important.
Yeah, we were talking about education, and Brandon here, he was saying that, there's all the corruption in the industry. For instance, with the licensing office, a lot of negative things go on. A lot of people are able to get their license through unjust means. And I was simply saying, you really can't use the actions of a few to really classify the entire system. And my reason for bringing that up was to say that with education as well, I would feel 100% comfortable saying our education system is incomplete, or our education system does not help persons who are poor. It does not help persons who attend government schools sufficiently. I mean, these are all statements that we could back up. But for you to say our education system is failing, when we have such fantastic results year after year, when we have such exemplary students, not just here but around the world, and we have a Trini in everything, we could have a Trini in Harvard. I mean, I don't know any Trini who has enough
we
links.
have Trinis in answers too.
Look where we reach.
But you follow my point. Right, you follow my point. You can't really just use the examples of a few now to talk about the entire system.
Right, but that's the interesting thing. I think that when we talk about Trinbagonians who are earning scholarships and advancing in these ways, we're actually talking about a few and not the majority of individuals who are passing through our education system.
All right. So my thing is, do we talk about the few who cannot read even though they're in Form 4, and the few who are able to get scholarships, or are we trying to talk about the general everyone?
Is that acceptable to you, the idea that there are folks who are being passed from one educational stage to the other,
it's unacceptable.
but aren't? Right, so that's
unacceptable.
I want to ask another question.
But I'm trying not to throw away the baby with the bathwater here and say our system does not work because we have failed these individuals.
And I want to ask this one question to try to clarify what I mean by the failings of the education system, and that is, do you think that the education system, being the place where young people spend most of their entire youth, do you think that its duty is simply to educate students?
Well, it's called education.
Man.
To be fair to those folks.
Also our secondary form of socialization.
No, but
and through it, very few students are actually being properly socialized.
So let me ask you, what do you think needs to happen to the education? How do we transform the education system? And I want everybody to get a chance to answer
so like the example that I can give, and I say this as somebody who was fortunate enough to go to a prestige-ish school, Trinity College East.
Right. Just as prestigious as Bishops.
Yeah, just as prestigious. And one of the things that I personally say I profited from when I was in school was we had a dedicated hour every week. Instead of a class in that period, we got a class called personal development.
Personal development.
We had a counselor was literally being paid by us. It wasn't no ministry business to come and spend what would have been a matter English period, socializing us, teaching us a little bit of civics, teaching us a little bit of how we could deal with stressful situations in our family life, in our personal life, conflict resolution and stuff like that. And like a lot of the students that I grew up with prided ourselves on that it was our benefit not only to get what we thought was top quality actual education, but to get an opportunity to deal with ourselves, as it were, to be able to confront our own feelings in a safe environment with our peers. We had peer counselors. Well, every school has peer counselors, but we had peer counselors who were literally being taught by counselors how to deal with conflict resolution. On a weekly basis, we were being prepared to have those kinds of conversations with each other. So even when something happened, the quickest thing for us to deal with was the students who were already prepared to confront that ourselves, because these were our partners and we were given the tools to do so. But a lot of schools don't. A lot of prestige schools don't have it. A lot of prestige schools have it and aren't preparing it properly for students to benefit from it as ideally as possible.
Enough problems. What are the solutions?
The solution is up the ante, and I think that the Ministry of Education has to do it, because then that means it can be streamlined. It's more than one counselor in a district, it's a counselor per school, or even a counselor per form, if that can be afforded. I know that's difficult, but
that's
if you
could, a counselor. Well,
yeah,
I mean,
but there's a lot of students. These are thousands of people we want to herald the island when they graduate. Somebody in Form 1 or Form 2 right now, when they come out of school, before they even go into university, will be trusted with a responsibility for the island itself, from as little as voting to as much as actually engaging in our political system. Some of them will have families, some of them will have jobs, some of them will start jobs themselves. And it's not just about being able to know your maths and your English, being able to divide long and thing, but it's about being able to manage yourself and the environment that you're in. And that means counseling, that means the family commitments and religious commitments that I guess we'll have to have a discussion about at some point later on in this cast. But when it comes to education, we have to treat the school system as not just a place where people learn the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s, but get to learn who they are and what they can contribute to the world at large.
Okay, Chelsea, the men are going at each other.
Sorry.
Before that continues,
say something for us.
Yeah, what do you think we need to do to transform our education system?
This is based on my own personal experience. I think that there is a bias when it comes to persons who would rather go into a career that's more science, mathematics type based careers, or for persons like myself, as you're saying, like social studies, modern studies, we are kind of neglected. And I think that, say, not everyone is science oriented, mathematics oriented. I'm not. And I was thinking, okay, so when I leave school, what career can I go into that will, guarantee that I am successful, that I make this much money and all this? And I was thinking, okay, law. I didn't really have much options, you know what I mean? So,
law is the only humanity that's make real money out here.
Right. And depending on who you ask, that's not entirely true either.
Yeah, I mean, to say it is the only thing.
Not to miss your bubble, after all.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that I think that they should find some way, the government, Ministry of Education, to hone into the persons who aren't necessarily going in that direction, more those type subjects. Think about persons who are more into the arts, like yourself.
Right.
What are we going to do? We need more like career-based activities where persons will come in and say, okay, well, this is what you are interested in. These are the careers available to you. These are the options available to you. And also, in terms of equality, there's an issue with persons who don't come from the best of circumstances. They may not be able to achieve to their highest abilities because of that. As Brandon was saying, we need to find some way to reach out to these students, whether it's by counselors, personal development, anything. I think we are falling a bit short when it comes to that.
Blaine, you're the most optimistic about our education system currently.
Yes,
so I suppose
no, because my position is build on what's good and try your best to eliminate what doesn't work.
Okay. So
now, in my experience, and I just kind of want to address a little bit of what you both said. First, with yourself, you asked, does our system work? Are the people coming out of our schools able to function, etc., etc., etc.? And for one, as someone who's worked with teachers, my sister's a teacher, I can say teaching is a difficult task and so much is expected of teachers. And let me just add to that by saying, simply in primary schools, I give you homework, do your homework, let your mom check it, bring it back home. Parents don't check the homework. A simpler task as that, families do not cooperate with the education system. They don't cooperate with teachers. Come to Parents' Day, they don't. So you're going to throw a lot of blame on the education system, where blame should be spread to families and to, maybe other social ills. So I'm going to start there. If you're expecting a lot from the education system, you're saying that it doesn't work, I think you need to be pointing a finger at other things as well. as the reason for this.
I have no problem admitting that there are some structures that also need conversing about, and I hope that we get to talk about this.
Because you touched on something that we're going to talk about in the next segment. So go ahead.
So next,
go ahead and
you said we're gonna need to invest in ways to try and improve the system. Concretely, I am certain, because I've seen this, these things exist. For instance, the program you talk about, or the social worker that comes in, that talks to students, helps everyone to learn how to interact with others, and this is fantastic. Has worked well for you. I had the experience, it's worked well for me. But these programs aren't funded. And sadly, our government has not put as much money into social development as it has into, let's say, infrastructure. 2 governments ago, we developed our downtown area, we developed our waterfront. 1 government ago, we extended our highway. Our next government has decided that they're going to go with a rapid rail. Billion-dollar projects. But we've not seen investment on that scale in the social realm. We've had some small ones, and how successful have they been?
That we should make as equal an investment into our human infrastructure.
We need to have some more social investment, because there are things that work, but they're starved for funding. And you can do it for 1 term, maybe you can do it for 5 years, and then that's the end of it. Nothing more comes of it. So I think a real support for the education system would be to put some more money into it, to put some more consideration into what is needed for an all-rounded education.
I can dig that. So you said something really interesting that we obviously, we don't have much time, so we're going to take it in the next segment, but I want us to think about something that Blaine said, is that our education system is taking a lot of blame for something that our families, and more importantly our parents, should be partnering with other institutions to help socialize our young people. So we're going to actually give family a little bit of pressure, put them in a corner a little bit, right after we take a little break. You're watching New Talk, the opposite of Old Talk, right here on Synergy TV. We'll be back after this.
Enter New